Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul, and we are
SP Film Viewers.
Now, I don't know if you're going to pray that this film is good or not that I've picked.
You think it's funny, don't you?
I try to be. Don't know how well it comes across.
Well,
probably.
I can't really say if I'm going to think it's alright or not, really. I know nothing.
I know a little bit about it, in the fact it works in your favour somewhat, because it is a prequel to a film franchise that you haven't seen. So you can't, when you complain about,
okay.
why is they doing The Hobbit after the Lord of the Rings, or things like that, or Star Wars, or
well, it's
whatever.
stupid. It is. You can't say it isn't. It's like, it's just greed. So did this one come first? Or are you just making me watch it first? No,
yes, I'm watching it first.
Right,
So,
okay, so they're greedy too.
So it's going to be interesting on both parts, because I haven't seen it, obviously, and it's only recently come out.
Oh, is it?
On Disney Plus, yeah. So I thought it's topical as like a recent film to cover.
Okay.
And I'm intrigued to see it, but I'm thinking to get a perspective from you of like, is how solid this is, going in watching none of the films of the Predator
You
series.
watched Predator?
Yes, yeah. Predator 2, Alien vs Predator.
I'm sure these have come up on the Halloween list and I've not been interested.
I don't see. They are horror of sorts, but I see more as like science fiction with a bit of gore, I suppose. But you could
like
have
Stranger Things.
Not quite, but I see where you're coming from. Yeah, so I wouldn't go into this certainly expecting a lot of over the top blood and guts, but I could be wrong.
You haven't seen it either, so you don't know, so you can't judge.
So I'm intrigued to know like how it holds up as a prequel, and you just like seeing like how interested you would be in like seeing at least the follow up from this one kind of thing. So you can't be like, why have they done that? When you're going into this blind.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But still, it's anyways.
Yeah. So,
okay, tell me about it.
Okay, so a skilled Comanche. I hope I'm saying that right.
What is it?
Let me finish. A skilled Comanche warrior protects her tribe from a highly evolved alien predator that hunts humans for sport, fighting against wilderness, dangerous colonizers, and this mysterious creature to keep her people safe. So it's a survival
from a creature.
Instinct. Yes, and
so you're basically just trying to make Monster March.
Alien, though.
Still, same thing, isn't it? It's going to be the same story.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, creature comes, attacks our island. We have to kill the creature.
Yeah, it's not like a big monster. Like Godzilla.
I just have a little bit of a gripe with Paul. I'm not going to lie. I love him and we are going to be getting married. But if he keeps putting in Monster March films in August and then Halloween films in earlier because, I only get 2. Well, who only got 2 last year for Christmas?
I'm probably sure there's no other, like, monster-y
I feel like we need to put this in as wedding vows.
That's a bit extreme.
Promise no Monster March ever.
No, that's not true. I said whenever the like things I wanted to discuss, and I thought like this would be a topical one to talk about because of the fact that you moan about the prequel itis.
Still moaning. Because now it's just yeah. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I guess I don't really know what I'm going into apart from an alien wreaking havoc
with a strong
woman
lead again. So
try and get me just because of those. You just. Yeah. I'm a sucker for a strong lead lady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to sit down, watch it, and get back to you with what we think.
Paul might be a little bit battered and bruised by the end of it if it's crap.
it took you to gather medicine. We crawled through the mud and my bowstring got ruined and... You were sleeping.
Don't get your bowstring wet. I've been practicing. It's time. I'm ready for my katamia.
You want to hunt something that's hunting you.
And we are back, and a long time ago, it is said, a monster came here.
And you said to me, we're never doing Monster March again. And I'm sure when we recorded like the beginning kind of part of our podcast, I said this was a monster film. And I'm pretty sure your response was, it's not, it's an alien. But then now you're reading that line to me and I feel like you're contradicting yourself.
This is what the film says, so...
So the film bit you in the arse, didn't it? It didn't say an alien came here. It said a monster. Don't say they didn't know what aliens were back then. I know what you're going to say.
Well, yeah, that's true, because that's something the film I'm glad it sort of touches on, is the fact that the whole like tribal aspect of it, explaining what monsters are, or more specifically what occurrences like in the ecosystem, things like the rumbling thunder overhead, being that when the ship comes into land in the Great Plains where this is set, that it sounds like thunder, and they would have believed that like thunderstorms and earthquakes and stuff would be monsters. That's how they would explain it, like, oh, what is this mighty phenomenon that's occurring?
Or there used to be another thing as well where it'd be like the gods are angry, so now there's like
arguing, a
storm or
they're upset. So that's how they explained those kind of things. So our character Naru, she thinks that the ship is the Thunderbird. Yeah. Which is I think it's like an indigenous legend of like North America, like as the name suggests, something to do with like lightning and thunderstorms.
Sounds like a Pokemon character.
Yeah.
To be fair,
yeah.
I will say it kind of gives me like a live action Pocahontas a little. Like she's this like independent female character wanting to seek out and kind of explore by herself and
go through a trial of rite of passage. It's called something like Kotamia or something. Is their language for that really, or their word for basically that really. So she's seeming to be, like you say, like a Pocahontas thing, like I've got to prove myself and everything to the tribes because they don't believe me because I'm a woman type of thing.
And
I think that's kind of overlooked.
Even her mother is kind of like, oh, well, you can heal people, you can cook, you've got so many skills. And I think it's just that typical cliche that...
Why do you want to do this when you can do something else entirely that you're more skilled at, but they want to push themselves to do something else or strive to do something else.
Which is fine. I think it's brilliant. Like, go do something different if you want to, put yourself out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. But I think it's one of those things where it's always typical where it's like, oh, this is a male-orientated job. A female can't do it. And I think that's where this film kind of is going. It's leading to, like, somewhat a strong female character. I can't say she's like Kill Bill.
No, I wanted to ask you about that. How did you feel about how she was portrayed as, like, or did you seemed to me a little bit bratty in a sense, like in a strop, like, oh, why is my brother now the war chief, and like I wasn't able to prove myself, so now
I'm running away and going off on my own and doing my own thing. Yeah. And I just, I didn't really. I wanted to gel with her more and root for her. What you mean. Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't have that connection, and I don't know why.
That's what I thought the film would have that, in a sense, because obviously like a new generation and being obviously like a strong female-led movie of facing this creature, but she doesn't really have much going for her in development throughout the story, unfortunately.
And I just feel it was one of those really slow-paced films. It was you know me, Monster March films, they bore me. You know what's going to happen already. It's like, it's just predictable. There's nothing keeping you on the edge of your toes. And as well, I think this was a hard one to follow after watching Kill Bill.
Right.
For me, personally, just because, well, Kill Bill, I mean, Beatrice was like a badass assassin that was such a character development and...
Yeah, there was enough to spread from 2 films, yeah.
But the amount that you
acknowledge
knew of her and respected her as a character, and I feel like this was... There wasn't enough of that, and there was a lot of action that was just a bit... You know me, I get a bit...
Yeah, I understand.
The best part for me
Mhm.
was the dog.
Which also, like, ran off and you were like, where's it gone again?
I get devastated. Don't put animals in films because I get attached.
Yeah, but a lot of these animals, though, very obviously CGI.
Yeah, I was saying this to you because we had a scene where there was a wolf and, like, a hare, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Oh,
will be a hare, yeah.
And initially, the close-up of the wolf snarling and everything, that looked really realistic. And so did the hare while it was sat.
Mm-hmm.
The wolf's creeping closely up to the hare. Once the hare started running, it was like, what are these limbs? Like, why are they so gangly? Like, I know they've got longer legs and it's tucked under his body, but that's it looked unrealistic.
Yeah.
The wolf, that was okay.
No, if anything, the wolf was more, like, obviously, like, that is a CGI wolf.
Yeah, but no, it was the legs of the hare for me.
Right. Right. I mean, to be fair, that hare was not around for very long anyway, really. It was after he got caught by a wolf and then they got knocked back.
Didn't he get free?
I think, well, it would have got injured, but he didn't really
because the wolf got
attacked by the predator.
Yeah. Also, what do you think of the design of the predator?
For me, obviously, I've got the knowledge from prior knowledge of what it looks like in previous iterations.
Is it more alien-like?
To be fair, it's not too dissimilar from in this one to what it normally looks like. The only major difference is the mask that it wears. It's more of a skull plate that it's got on, as opposed to in the other ones it's all like a metal mask and there's more mechanical elements.
Is he still invisible?
In the other ones?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's got it's like an invisibility device they have a cloak in. Yeah.
Right. Just out of curiosity, wondering if that's the same kind of.
Yeah. I think it's more just down to like the
gadgets.
No, there's the gadgets, but the more primitive, like when he was doing that, there was like that 3-point laser beam thing, and it was shooting arrows instead of. And I believe in the other ones, it's more like a missile basically or something. So it's again like past and future, but obviously because it's still in the past, and this is obviously a prequel anyway. So it's focusing on these more primitive weaponry, even though it's obviously still advanced weaponry. This creature has more like a bow and arrow type of elements to it, or
not as
more
advanced technology and
that's
such.
What I'm saying.
Yeah,
but it's still advanced. So,
but does he have like the dreadlocky things?
Yeah.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was a bit of a cowardly way to have an alien that is invisible when he's got super strength anyways.
But he's put on the planet Earth from the ship to hunt, basically to prove himself. Like again, it's a rite of passage for the predators to go to like a distant planet, right? Go and kill for sport, and then collect as many skull spines as you can. And
right, is that what it was?
That's why I was ripping out every like the snake, skinning the snake, and people. Yeah, it was, and then melting it away. That spray he was doing. Yeah. It
just seemed a bit oddly, and I think, to be fair, I don't know if he was meant to be stealthily killing people or not to be seen.
That's the idea behind it. Do like not to be seen, kill them from a long distance. How or if they walk by, take them out that way. It's just whatever means really. But that's it's not cowardly as such. It's how they do things.
Feels like a bit more like a game than it does actually a film. I don't feel like there's much. I really wanted to like it, but
Funny that you should just bring up the game, because there was a couple of instances in it where it did feel like it was like particularly reminiscent of Skyrim, like when
you even brought up Lara Croft as well.
Yeah, when she was in Naru was in like a camp later on with these French voyagers when she gets captured later on, but when she's coming across a bear and it's doing the typical like bear attack.
Even the music you said,
it sounds like a do do do, like when you encounter an enemy in Skyrim, and it's just, like all the animals in this seem like very much like they're just there to purposely hunt you down, like in Skyrim. Like the wolves will purposely go out of the way to come and just attack you for no reason, even though you're just walking by and whatever. But
Skyrim's story is so much more in depth than this actual film.
It's a game, so you make it your own.
Still, you do, yeah. But with this, it's just a bit lackluster. I don't know if I'm wanting more or what, but it's like I don't really even know what to pick out. It just seems a bit like that's literally how I feel. And I know it sounds bad, but it was a slog. It was hard work.
I think the time kind of flew by watching it, for me anyway, but it was interesting enough with the location of where everything was. It's got like obviously a lot of trees and stuff to hide in. I do kind of like the soundscape it had though, with the predator making try and do it now. The crack, and it also almost sounded like how trees can like make that creaking sound when in the wind and stuff. Obviously, that sounded very much more echoey and stuff. So I think that kind of worked because in previous films, it's like the original Predator was set in like a Central American jungle. So, so there was obviously trees in there, but this feels more like a forest, like just a typical like forest in the Rocky Mountains or something like that.
Don't get me wrong, the scenery, the actual location is beautiful, and the action is cleverly done, and it's clever the way that they kind of show how they're healing people, kind of old school traditional
medicine stuff.
And some things I can take from it, but others it's just this alien coming down, is killing people, melting. Naru's like, oh, there's something more out there, but she wants to prove herself.
Everyone's like, what are you talking about? It's typical,
And then it's just like, she fails when she tries to get a lion to kill. And they're like, oh, you can't do this, and putting him down. And then it's like, obviously, in the end, she conquers all. And it's like one of those things where you kind of see where it's going already. There's no surprises. There's no kind of thing that shocks you or...
No, I guess not. Because one thing did treat me like, well, how did she firstly avoid the mountain lion coming after her when she fell off the tree, and then she gets knocked out, and then next thing she's at the camp, like what happened at that point? Did the lion just go like, oh, forget this?
I think it was a brother.
Conveniently at that specific moment, because I think even like in a split second of that happening, I think he can't have done unless he was really quick in distracting it to save her, because
I think he did something, and he brought her home, and then I think he killed.
And then he's the war chief, so it's like, and she's like, oh, I wanted to be the war chief.
I understand sibling rivalry. I get it. Yeah. There is a thing, but also you need to be happy for one another. And if your brother's the war chief, then that's great. You can learn from him and grow. But it's just one of those really samey, predictable film. That's a Monster March film that you've just tried to cram in August. That does, I don't know. I'm not even like, this doesn't make me really want to go and watch the actual original.
No, right, okay.
Oh, don't tell me you've got it planned for me.
No, I not such, but obviously I wanted your input on like, does this intrigue you enough because it being prequel to? No, okay, right.
I'm hoping that the original's better.
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot more dialogue between characters, even though it's very macho in terms of it's being like an 80s Arnie film, so...
Is it?
Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah.
Oh, God, he can't act for toffee.
But, he's like in the big meaty men in the jungle with guns and just taking out... But there's a lot more...
You're proper selling this, Paul.
No. So I mean, you'd probably enjoy it a lot more than this one, I guess.
Is there some humour in it?
Oh yeah, there's more humour.
Is he the one where is that I'll be back? Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, no, that's from Terminator.
Oh,
but this one is, you might have heard like get to the chopper.
No, I've never heard that.
do it now.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, that's from this. Yeah, so there's lines like that in this film. So that there's the quotable dialogue, but there's a lot of.
I've never watched the Terminator either.
No, that's on the watch list.
Is it?
At some point? Yeah,
Right.
down the line. So maybe in theory, it's like I mean, obviously, I didn't. This is the point when we were both experiencing it, so I was hoping for a good experience watching this new one and being like, it's like, all right, it's back to the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different setting, works somewhat in that way because it keeps it a bit more interesting rather than just a generic people with just straight up machine guns or whatever, like that kind of like, oh right, this because that's what they kind of did with other iterations of the Predator franchise. Just easy just to do that. It's like, oh yeah, here we go, some other Marines going into the thing.
But do you think this film needed to be done? That's the question I want to ask. Because obviously you're more able to judge this than I am because you've seen the original film.
Yeah.
Was this really needed as a piece of cinema?
That's a good question because the other ones they kind of soured like what the franchise has to offer. So I mean, to contend with what else they've churned out basically from the other Predator films, this is the best one that they've done. That there's like a follow up of sort of, even though it's a prequel.
How many Predator films are there?
Predator 2, Predators, 2010, I think that came out.
Right, let's go Predators 3.
Alien versus Predator.
Jesus.
Alien versus Predator.
Is Arnie in all of them?
No. These are different people. I believe that's it. I know there was one that was called the Predator. I think that was a
Jesus. Why?
So
It's the
that's like
same
what?
flipping story. Bloody hell.
Yeah. So did it need to be made?
No. Did they waste money? Could they have invested that in something else? Yes.
But it just gives an interesting take on how, like, in a different location and a different time period. Like, I think there was talks like, oh, you could do this if you like in like feudal Japan or something, like a predator coming down.
That's more interesting.
Because you've got samurais.
Yeah.
So
I'd have gone for that.
Yeah. See, that does sound interesting, and I'm just saying that just because
We're biased.
we're biased on that, but
But also, I feel like sometimes within the film industry, God knows how much this film will have cost. I'm not going to go into politics, but at the moment, I think we're in a bit of a crisis. And I think, to be fair, the amount of money this film cost, if they gave it to every individual person or within whatever country, that would benefit a lot more than me watching this film. That's the way I see it. I know that sounds awful. And I wish I could say something brilliant about it. But like literally that noise that I just did there. That's like So I'm really hoping you're going to bring something forward for me to convince me.
Well, I can. What you just brought about the cost of what the film cost to make. There was some recent news in terms for Warner Brothers studio. They had to scrap 2 projects entirely. So there's these films that are probably never ever going to come to light now. This Batgirl movie and a sequel to the Scoob movie.
Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, Scooby-Doo, but the first one was called Scoob, and that came out a couple of years ago now.
Oh, I think I remember seeing
like a poster for it. Yeah, it's like a CGI version of it. But it actually benefited them, even though they spent the time and money putting it together, to write it off as like a cut your losses basically, and just park it and not release it because they couldn't afford for the marketing and stuff to promote the film any further. It's kind of like, right, we're gonna have to bench something or just throw it in the bin basically, and that's it. So these things may never see the light of day ever now.
Why?
It's just because of costs and everything on the studio. They're struggling in some way financially. It's like you
Maybe
look
it's
at
all the lighting. All the bills are going up. You know,
Yeah.
imagine all them big lights.
That's quite interesting on like how that's now a thing now. Like you could have these big ideas, and you spent so much money and time and effort into it, and then I haven't said this was absolutely terrible film.
No, but it's just one of those that goes into the background. It will be in Sophie's archives, and then it'll just get spat out of my brain, and you'll be like, "Oh, do you remember when we watched Prey?"
Yeah.
And I'll be like, "What's Prey?" That's literally. It's not going to be up there like, "Oh, if you remember when we watched Kill Bill?" And I'm like, "Yeah, amazing." Yeah. It's not going to. It's going to be one of those that just slips into my void, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, I don't know why this didn't go a cinematic release, because I think that would probably have.
Oh, that says it all. If it can't even reach a cinema, then what does that say?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
If people can't be asked to pay for it.
I don't know how they determine what goes on streaming now and what doesn't.
No, I'm sorry. If you don't go to the cinema, then you're not good enough, clearly. Not meaning physically for people to go and see it, but...
Like with Pixar, you know, like the Turning Red, where like that's just open Disney Plus. It's just easier to... I don't know if that got some short run in the cinema.
I feel like it should have done, because that's even better. I would say go watch Big Red over this any day.
Turning Red,
whatever it is. Big Red was a bubblegum in America. I don't know if it still is. Had like a cinnamon taste to it. I think you actually quite like it. I'm going to have to Google it. Bear with me.
Well, while you're doing that...
it's definitely important, Paul. Promise.
The fact that she comes out on top at the end and she managed to kill it, but that it seems odd that the Predator was kind of got scuppered by his own means of attack, really, with his homing beak and laser pointed arrow shooting thing.
That was quite ironic. I think that was a clever way of kind of killing him off.
Right. Oh, so you liked that aspect?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, I guess.
But from...
Still cowardly custard.
On whose part?
On Naru's part.
Oh, okay. Because, tricking him, like, you know, like a...
It's clever and cunning, but still, she's not a war chief, is she?
No, just from that. She led into the bog that she kind of got stuck in.
Yeah.
Because, again, throwing a lot of these, you'll... Like, when she's got the axe and tied to a string and everything, and it's how that's going to come into play later, and so is this bog and everything, and all these kind of things. Like, remember that, because that's going to come later down the line and everything. But it's like in the end of the Predator, because obviously I had to do like I know it fairly well, but I was obviously skimming through like through the Predator film, the 1987 one, and like how that kind of ends, and it's Arnie does defeat the creature using like basic tools, or throw the guns away, they're not working, so we use like rocks, and a big tree trunk to kind of take the alien out. But the alien, tries to does have the last laugh, because he's got this thing recorded of the other guys before laughing, because he was always like scouting them out in the distance, sussing them out. But he, or it, rather should I say, has the last laugh, and he's like, you've got a bomb thing, like you kind of saw on the other one, where these little things come out. But so like grenade things, or in this case it was just a big bomb that was just going to go off just to try and take Arnie out. But he survives, and then he gets picked up by another helicopter who's in the area, and then he kind of like, he gets away, but he's like reflecting on like, that was an ordeal. He's like actually worn out. He's gone through a lot, really. Lost all his men basically against this creature. And then she's at the end of this film, Prey. She's kind of like, look what I've got. Yeah. And hardly much of a sweat on her, really, from the whole experience. And it's like, now I'm the war chief. Yeah, you respect me now, won't you? Kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
I think as well, it's like, okay, like you're saying, the other one, Arnie sounds like he had a harder time, and he obviously lost his, like you're saying, his men. But at least he actually went into battle with this thing. Like, really, her brother did a lot of the work beforehand for her. He did injure him and wound himself. Yeah. And I don't think she could still take on a lion after this.
No, the two different. Well, it has to be two different species, and essentially it worked very differently.
Like, she's very observant and very clever, like the way she tracks, where she kind of is realizing like what he thinks is a threat, and he won't take bait and such like that. So she's clever at understanding her component kind of thing. But when it comes to actually fighting something, she's very cowardly at doing that.
It's almost like relying on the tools of the forest, basically, to...
And I get
to
it,
try
because
and
obviously
go.
there's not much around back then anyways, but still there's skills that she could have had. Just going back on the Big Red, it is a chewing gum.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
think
cinnamon.
I've heard that name. Yeah, you were checking that out. The cinnamon.
Yeah, and it's it was in the 90s, apparently you could have got it in the UK, but no longer, so it is in America.
Okay.
So if anyone that we know is American, so you could get your boss to send you some Big Red chewing gum, you'd like it. It's a bit spicy though. It's like got like a bit of a
cinnamon can be spicy if there's a lot to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought of you then, but I would. What was it called then? If it's not Big Red, Big Hero. What is it?
Turning Red.
Turning Red. That's a really good film.
Yeah.
This one, it's all right. There's not much I can kind of say for it. The dog is a good, strong component. In the end, I don't really know where the dog ends up, though.
He was captured by
She frees them.
At the camp, at the French guys who were very...
Oh, they're so barbaric. It's awful. It's like this, like...
So strange, like, almost like slightly more intelligent cavemen. No, not far off, but they're kind of just... yeah, that was weird. And the fact that, I mean, I don't know why they would skin the buffalo in the fields.
I thought the alien had done that.
No, I thought that initially, but then it's like, no, actually, no. But you'd think there'd be more like buzzards or flies around the meat, literally, obviously, like the exposed skin, and you'd be crawling with stuff, and it's kind of like there's not much there.
I do think, though, with the brother, obviously, he got... I actually think I leaned towards him a lot more than Naru. Like, he seemed to want to do good, and he kind of was trying to stick up for Naru, and she was just being a bit of a whine about everything.
Yeah.
And he got cut, like, with a knife, kind of, like, within him. And he still was there trying to help her, support her throughout.
Mm-hmm. There was a line that you won't know, obviously, because it's mentioned in the first film, but he said, "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
Yeah, I wrote that down. Yeah. That was going to be the next thing I was going to say.
Oh, okay. But it makes more sense in the first film, whereas that he's kind of just, it almost feels like very much out of place for him to say it. Like, why bring that up? Yeah.
Does it bleed green in?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And it seemed to be that this alien had something like he could spray on himself and then he would heal.
Yeah, that's something else that again, it's like a fixer up, really.
Like, it looked like he was painting himself or something. Like, just get some spray paint.
Yeah.
Like, if you were a kid, literally, I've burnt myself. Right, let's just spray over that. That'll be fine now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry it wasn't as good of an experience as I thought it might be.
It's not your fault. This is the problem when neither one of us have seen it. We don't know what we're going into. We can't really predict. It's not something I hate.
No.
But I think it's just...
Yeah, I get what you...
Because we've come from such a great film to this, it's...
Yeah.
I think if we'd have had something mediocre and then this, I think I'd probably been saying something a bit different, but we had such a good, strong contender.
Okay. Well, the next one I've got prepared that you haven't seen, I've got a feeling that should really be a high benchmark, so...
Okay, good, because I think I'm getting to a point now with watching films, and I don't want to just bull myself up, but I actually think when something is there, unless, please listeners, tell me if I'm missing something, I can see something when it's golden now, and there's certain camera trickery. This was just basic, I felt. It wasn't one of those...
No, I get what you mean, yeah.
Hyper, like...
It's not...
Great shots or anything like that. There was...
It's surely never going to be that for what it is. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But it's not like Oscar worthy or anything like
that.
No,
the acting was... It was alright. Yeah. I don't know if other people, like, if you're really into The Predator, you'd be like, oh my god, what is she saying? It's, if you're kind of fond of it from the get-go.
No, I think most people will still say the original is the best one. As normally how things go, really. To be fair, and it's set at the period of the 80s and everything. There's like that's a big action blockbuster, and it did pretty well, really, because it's like a quotable film. It's got just moments that are like, yeah, I know it's from Predator or whatever, and things like that. It's just characters that you're invested in. This one, it's you don't really care too much about them and the people themselves. I feel like the way they talked as well didn't. I'm obviously not an expert on the 17th century period in America or anything, but I don't know. They just didn't come across as of a tribal clan, really. I don't know.
No, I get it. I do.
Not that I'm trying to say racist or anything. That they've got to be talking like Indians or whatever, like that. But you know what I mean.
It felt really modern for something that was trying to be a prequel and older.
Mm-hmm.
It still felt quite modern and new. I don't know. Just that fine balance wasn't there.
But I think let me just check my notes. I don't think I've got much else to bring up.
Not much else happened, to be fair.
Just the fact that with her medicine being making her invisible seems a bit somewhat far-fetched when it's like when I said about when she got covered in mud, obviously being in the bog. I'm thinking, okay, that's how she's in the first film. That was a thing that happened where he covered himself in mud and then he I think he just fell in, and then it's when it was hunting Arnie down, he realised from that it's he can't detect me because of my heat signature is covered by the mud. So
that seems more legit.
So yeah, exactly. That's more of that makes more sense to keep that aspect in it. Whereas this magical, I just pop a pill essentially, and then
it was flowers, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was some flower.
Although I don't think that was consistent with the fact that I'm sure that other French person was she gave him the flower to save him, but yet he still got killed even though he wasn't moving or anything.
No, she took it herself.
No, I know she did, but at the point when she was at the camp, the Predator did.
I think it was because he stood on him and he screamed. And that's how he knew something was there and then stabbed him.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't aware, and that's why he stood on him.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember if he still was holding a weapon at that point. Because that's another thing. If you hold in a weapon, the Predator sees you as a threat. If you've got nothing on you, you're essentially I'll leave you be. But even if it's not a challenge.
She was running away from him, though, and he still ran after her, and she wasn't held in anything.
Yeah. Right.
It's your turn to go first?
Yes, yep.
Woo! Go on, vote for me. Score.
So overall, I know we've kind of been picking it apart really and everything, but I'd still say it was decent enough of a film to watch.
Boo!
It's not something I'd be rushing back to be quite honest, because the other one I would definitely would be. It's just great.
Would I think it's great?
Well, see, now it's a bit of a hard sell because I don't know if, as I've been describing some scenes from it, whether it's something you'd be like, this. You'd probably agree it's better, but whether you'd be like, this is something I want to keep coming back to. The original one, then it's another matter.
If it's a monster film, probably not.
No. But with that one, it's I don't know. Maybe it's something we see on our own time, and you come back in the post and you say Sophie liked the original Predator or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think I'm going to go with 7.
Okay.
The soundscape that they had really worked really on obviously the sweeping vistas of the location stuff was a big selling point, and it was interesting enough in that they almost had a folklore element to it, all the light and everything. It had mystical, where's this creature that's hiding in the forest and everything. That aspect was good, but there wasn't enough there with the characters and everything, and it was kind of just walking along, and you kind of know, right, for a modern film, she's going to succeed. It's not going to be too difficult for her and it should have been a lot more, really. You know, like she might have injured herself or something, but she didn't. So, and despite the way that the Predator had the skull mask, I kind of wish that was kind of left that on, really, if that makes sense. Because it didn't look, and obviously like evolution stuff, it's probably not going to change that vastly in now like 300 years or whatever. But I think it did look sort of like what the normal one does, but just having to give it kept the skull mask on as part of its appearance, then I'd been happy with that. But yeah,
You'd have preferred the design.
Yeah, because it kept it something. Oh, that's more like a tribal, ancient creature.
To be fair,
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not too bad of a score. I think everything you've said, I agree with, which is nice that we're on the same par, I guess. I feel like it's a bit like anticlimax because people were kind of thinking it was good, and it's like, okay, are we just missing something clearly, or is it that we just want more? And I think that's what it is for me. I just give, like Rena would say, just give me a little bit more. Just literally.
Oh me, oh my.
Oh me, oh my. Yeah. Like literally, that's all I want is just a bit more. Bit more character development, a bit more sass about
Intrigue,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, a bit more action that's, oh, okay, maybe she will die, and then I'm gripped.
Yeah.
I was never hooked.
Yeah, I think there would have been good opportunities to have like campfire scenes, like
Lara Croft.
or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, saving stone.
No, I meant like in like like having a conversation with her brother to have that development as opposed to like hunting it down.
It was a lot quiet. There was a lot of times when there wasn't any dialogue. It was really quiet. There was just a lot of walking, and it felt like she was just on her own for quite a bit of it. And I remember the other film that we watched a while ago, and I didn't value that. And I think, is it Gravity?
Yes.
Where they're in
space.
And it's like, just think, because really, what can you do when you're on your own for that length of time?
Yeah.
Like, the dialogue, you can't really talk to yourself. You can for a bit, but it's just not.
Do you think like in Castaway, where Tom Hanks is talking to Wilson?
Yeah, that's golden. You can't. That's just a different level.
Okay.
But we watched also recently. We did commit and finish it. I think we wanted to really sack it off. It had Channing Tatum in and a dog.
It was just called Dog. Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
And I think I invested just because of the dog. But yet again, because he was quite solo on that. Yeah. It was quite mundane and boring. And I think I think that's what it is for me.
You need an actor or actress, or just a plot of that actor or actress playing a character that is engaging and keeps your interest.
Yeah.
Throughout with either dialogue or just how the mannerisms are, you believe, that they're struggling by themselves or whatever.
Like Castaway is like that is like the pinnacle, like that is top level. Like what Tom Hanks does in that film is magnificent. And
I know that's not all the way, that's not the entire film, there's obviously
but still, like having Wilson, even though it's a football and having something to interact with, she had a dog, I don't know, it just didn't feel
real. Yeah,
and I think that's the issue. And I think from a critical kind of view that we have to kind of give, and since you've been making me watch lots of films, I can't highly mark this, I'm afraid.
So what is the score after
after all that? Yeah. It is going to be a 5.
Right, middle of the road, yeah.
Middle of the road, that's how I feel about it. It's neither...
indifferent, really.
Yeah. I don't hate it, but I'm not in love.
That's fine. No, and sometimes a bit like, I feel like you just have at some other point have just gone to Predator and you've been that's all you needed to see, really. But
we don't know, and we live and learn. And I will still watch Predator. I will, because you've made me convinced now it's better. Yeah. And I don't want to make your head big, but I value your opinion.
Okay. No, I absolutely think that it would be a better experience overall, really, to see that.
I love the fact that we do this, to be fair, and I enjoy watching films with you.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And recording and talking to you about them.
So they can't all be winners, but
no, they can't.
It's part of the course.
Just it was a little bit of a really high and then went like, But you win some, you lose some. And to be fair, Monster March was a very low one. We know this with me. Action, comedy, monster films. I'm so sorry because you love them. I just don't.
Yeah, so we're not too struck up on this one, but it was good enough, but not quite the heights of the original.
But if you've got Disney and you've already paid for it and you've got a couple of hours, something to bung on in the background, you could do something else while you're watching it, to be fair. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to keep up with it.
So, thank you very much for listening to this episode. And if you would like to check out some of our other episodes, you can do so over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
And if you love us that much and you haven't already following us on social media, then you can absolutely do that. So we are on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and if you don't know already, it's under the handle SP_filmviewers.
And if you would like to leave us a 5-star review, you can also do that over on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podchaser, and wherever else they do the scoring system.
Also, just so I want to tell you all, because I feel like we're a part of a little family, we are getting married in 10 weeks' time. It's creeping. It's literally, it's going to be here. The dark nights are coming in, and Halloween is going to be here soon, and, get married and do all of that fun stuff. So, yeah, we're literally on the home run now.
Mm-hmm. Home stretch.
And fun fact for you all, I will actually be the official SP.
You will, yeah. Taking my last name, so...
Yep, I will be SP. That will be my initials.
And then you'll go and do your own thing.
I can take this now podcast and say it's my own. Literally, though, I could do nap all.
Love to see you do the editing.
If
I can word or a start.
I just wouldn't edit it.
Yeah,
I'd be like, that'll do.
Yeah.
Just the raw version, you'd be cringing.
Yeah. All the ums and pauses, or when something happens in the background making a noise, like, stop.
It just adds the finesse to it. That's what I'd say.
Well, thank you very much for listening once again, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.